It's the middle of summer and you had all sorts of intentions to do all sorts of things and you feel like I just need a do-over. This is crazy. I'm never going to get everything done that I want, or I'm not going to enjoy my summer because I've already messed up so much. Do you feel like that? If you do, you're in the right place. My name is Dara Thomason. This is the Quilters Coach podcast, episode 210, Why You Keep Starting Over and What to Do Instead. Okay, so how many of you have done this where you get a brand new journal and it just feels like I can start again, and then you start off really well and then 3 days later you haven't done it perfectly, so you just forget about it? Or what about if you are starting like a quilt along? You do it okay for the first little bit and then you start slowing down, and so you just feel petrified and you can't keep going. I want you to think about all the times in your life where you started something and then you didn't finish. Instead of not finishing, you just quit altogether and then just did something totally different. As you're thinking about that, I'm actually going to share a win from one of the members inside my membership. A member who, her husband passed away. She wanted to keep the relationship going with her sister-in-law. She sent her a birthday card and got not a very nice email response back. Very passive aggressive. In the past, this would have just devastated her. She would have felt so deflated and just lots of mixed emotions, resentment, frustration, all of it. This time she realized, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to fight back with her, but I'm also not going to just let someone talk to me this way. She set a boundary and she wrote back. The thing that's amazing about this whole experience is that she is no longer the victim anymore. They can say things that are not awesome, and she doesn't have to be affected by it. She doesn't have to take it personally. In fact, it can be an amazing opportunity for her to really stand up for herself and say, actually, it's not okay for you to talk to me that way, and create this boundary. When you start learning these tools inside my membership, you start understanding why you turn to the food, or why you turn to over shopping or overconsumption in some way. You start to feel more empowered in your own life. And that's what I want for all of you. And that's why I do this podcast. I do this podcast as a way for you to start seeing the possibility of changing. I know that back when I first heard life coaching, and I just binge listened to a podcast from Jody Moore because I didn't even know this was a possibility. I didn't know that if someone wrote you a mean email response when you were just trying to do something nice, I didn't have to be a victim. Like, I didn't even know that you could choose other thoughts and there's other ways of dealing with it. It's just been so much freedom, and that's the point. That's the purpose of this, is to help you see that you can change, and that you don't have to, just because you've always done it that way, you don't have to keep doing it that way, and that your life can truly transform. This episode is going to be really helpful for all of you who will start something new, and then if it's not perfect, or if it doesn't look a certain way, or if it's not quite right, you either start again or you quit altogether. The problem is when you start again, just like I said, you start over. If you don't evaluate what's really going on, then you miss out. You miss out on a lot of information. I think about inventors, and I think about just even like the washing machine. So have you seen prototypes of washing machines? And now there's actually a washing machine and a dryer all in one. The washing machine, we had a hand cranking thing, and then we had all sorts of contraptions. With each iteration, we thought, what of this version is good and what is not? Aren't you glad that when they were making the washing machine, they didn't just say good enough? Because otherwise we'd be cranking washing machines. I'm so glad I don't have to do that. when you think about curiosity, I would say that for me personally, curiosity was one of the most powerful tools for me to lose weight and keep it off. Because when I'm curious, I'm not judging myself. When I'm curious, I'm able to be inquisitive. I'm able to be reflective. I'm able to be objective. And I'm willing to try new things. I'm willing to tweak. I'm willing to figure things out. The problem with being curious, which also then has to lead us to being creative, is that creativity is risky because it requires us to be, you guessed it, it requires us to be vulnerable and to have courage with a high probability of mistakes and failures all along the way. That doesn't sound so much fun, does it? To gear yourself up and say, hey, let's try this new thing that we're going to fail and we're going to have lots of problems, but it's going to be good until the end. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. It's a harder sell. And it's especially a harder sell when, as humans, we are wired with the motivational triad to stay safe, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. Those are our instincts. Because if we were not sure when our next meal was going to come, we should not be expending more energy. And seeking pleasure, we want to, for example, have more children. So it's a very primal thing to seek pleasure. And conserve energy, not knowing where our next meal is going to come from, not knowing how much time it's going to take for us to achieve that goal, to figure it out, and avoid pain. We don't want pain because pain is bad. Pain can hurt us and keep us from movement or keep us from being able to survive. However, we have a civilized country with lots of resources and abilities. So we don't have to rely on that. So this is my challenge for you on this episode. I want you to write down. It is actually better for you to write it down physically because it helps you slow down your brain. But if you're not ready to do, that's okay. Just you can do this out loud or in your head. I want you to write down what have been all of the things that you've done in an effort to achieve goals. It can be weight loss goals. It can be certain quilting goals. Maybe it's free motion quilting your own quilts, or maybe it's paper piecing, or maybe it's applique, whatever that is. Write down all of those goals you wanted to achieve. And then I want you to write down, why haven't you? Why haven't you achieved that goal? Chances are the answer is something like, I wasn't willing to put in the work to figure it out. And the other part of the answer is, I didn't take the time to learn what works best for me and what doesn't. So, for example, with weight loss, I knew that I would never write down all the food, track it, weigh it. I just know I won't. And so I made a decision that I was not going to create a process of losing weight with counting calories and tracking steps, because that is not sustainable for me. I didn't know that I was worried about the weighing myself every day, but when I understood the power of it, and when I was able to see that it was feedback, I was bought in enough that I was willing to be uncomfortable with going on the scale. So that's the other part of this process of what is the most important? Is it to do X, Y, and Z, or is it this other one? And in my membership, I have what's called the 90-day process. And in that process, what I've done is to help women to feel less overwhelmed. I say to them, listen, you can lose 20 pounds in 90 days, but there are 3 things you have to do every day. You have to look at yourself naked. You have to weigh yourself for feedback, and you need to plan ahead the food you're going to eat and then just eat that food the next day. And that could simply even be just, I'm not eating flour and sugar tomorrow, or I'm not eating flour, or whatever that is. And then I have 5 things they need to do every week And if they do those 5 things, then I can tell them with assurance, you will lose 20 pounds in 90 days. And so what that does is it helps you focus on your brain and focus on the process. And inside that membership, every day there's a form that says what went well, what didn't go so well, and what can I do better next time. And so what this is doing is it's reinforcing you to being your own best expert. So just like with your job or with school or with any achievement that you've had, you're always getting feedback. You're getting feedback from your boss. You're getting feedback from your car. If it's saying we need more gas, that's feedback, right? We always have to have feedback. In order for you to create an eating plan or a productivity plan or create any goal and accomplish it, you have to be willing to start over, to figure things out, and to evaluate. If you are ready to do that, come and talk to me. Book a call. I can help you with it.
If you aren't loving your current life and hear yourself saying things like, I should be happier, I should be getting more done, or question how productive and fulfilled you are, this podcast is for you. I'm Dara Thomason, professional quilter turned life coach for quilters, where I show you how to overcome obstacles like perfectionism, people pleasing, overeating, overcomplicating life, so that you can really start to enjoy your life by learning and using tools for your brain to help you transform your everyday living. Are you ready to make these changes? I'm ready to help. Let's start your transformation one UFO at a time.